Hello, everyone. Welcome back. 10 Minutes with Barb and Ron. It feels like forever, Ron. This is Barb Gentili Green.
And I'm Ron Rogers. And yet it does seem like a little while. However, it is considered still summer, though, Barb. We're lucky there.
Yes, it is. It seems like when school gets back into session, it feels like summer's over. But you're right. It's still August, so we're good.
So has anything different happened in your life lately that you'd want to share?
Well, I can't sit still for long. So yes, Ron, I have a new job and I hope that we'll talk about that in another episode. But yes, I took a new job. But listen to this title: Director of Student Services and Accessibility. If that doesn't have UDL written all over it, I don't know what does.
Oh, man. Okay. We'll wait till another episode because we like to string people along.
That's right.
Okay. Well, today's topic's going to be, it's probably one of my favorite topics, and I'm not going to give it away yet. However, I do want to kind of lead up to it before I bring it to a conclusion here. But so anyway, when we're teachers, we love to teach students. And no matter which teachers you talk to, everybody does things a little different. Everybody grades a little different. However, there's always two things that can kind of touch a teacher personally. Two things. One is instruction and how they do it. Whenever you try to change instruction, it can be pretty tough because it's very close to our hearts. And the other thing is when we're grading, there's a lot of different ways to grade, and a lot of school boards don't always specify exactly how to do that. I mean, they give a little bit, but not direct. So here's the big topic. Should teachers give zeros to students that don't do their work?
Oh, wow. That's a hot topic, Ron. We're starting off with a bang. That is something that people are passionate about on one side or the other, right?
Yeah. So I thought maybe what we would do is you and I, we can sometimes, here's what I'd like for us to try to do. I would like to have us try not to take a side.
Okay.
And just kind of talk it through a little, and when we're done, hopefully nobody will know whether or not we are for zeros or against zeros.
That's a challenge. I'm up for it.
Okay, let's do it. So let's say, for example, you're a teacher and I just took a job and you're kind of like my teacher. That's kind of the one that you're my role model teacher. You're the one I go to if I need some help. You're my mentor. And, I just got done grading some students' papers and I'm brand new. And I'm like, Barb, I got this one student that just didn't turn in any work. Rest of the class got A's and B's, but this one student didn't do anything. So should I give him a zero? That's, I don't know if I should give him a zero. What do you guys do in your school?
So I'm going to answer your question by asking a question like we often do, Ron. So I guess my first question would be, what was the goal of the assignment or assessment, whichever one it was? What was the goal of that activity that you wanted the student to engage in? And how do you know? What do you know about that student's achievement or not of that goal? That'd be my first question.
That's the hard part. The goal was very important because the students, it was a project, and the students that did the project all did really well. But this student, for some reason, just didn't involve themselves in the project at all. So, we were trying to it was kind of like an assessment to see what they had learned from a week's worth of learning in government class. So, they were to build a project around their learning. And this student just couldn't get them to participate any. So I don't know how much they learned from it because they didn't. Tried a little bit of everything. So I like what you're suggesting, though. Maybe I need to go back and look a little closer and because obviously I didn't get the student engaged. So So for me, I think I'm going to put it on myself and see if there's not another way to help this student out. Mm-hmm. So that was good. I kind of liked walking through that. Barb, you're really good at that. So here's my question, though. Some teachers do assign zeros, mm-hmm. and some people would say they're assigning a zero to punish the student. It's more of a punishment for not doing the work. And, I kind of, it would be a decent feeling to be able to, hey, kid didn't do it, giving him a zero. Ooh, I feel better, But however, I like the way you worded it, Barb. I think the way you said that was really good. So if it's 100-point scale and an F is what, a 60? Or anything below a 60 is an F?
Depends on the district, but I've heard that one used, yes. Okay,
depends on the district. So on a 100-point scale, if I were to give that student a zero, that doesn't seem quite right, because an A is probably a 90 to a 100, and then a B would be an 80 to 89, etc. Clear down. Right. And then we get to 59, and that's an F. But if we give a zero, that's really hard to make up. Mm-hmm. So that kind of seems like, that almost seems like, we're putting a nail in the wall with a sledgehammer instead of with a carpenter's hammer. What do you think?
That's a good analogy there, Ron. Yes, that is true. And I don't, I wonder how much we think about that, like to do the math on that, to see, okay, what if that was a 50? It's still a failing grade, which we might have some questions and conversations around that, whether, a failing grade is based on a student's effort. But what's the difference? And just, it'd be fun to kind of do the math. What if we gave a 50? What if we gave a 0? What's going to happen with that student's grade, and how are they going to dig themselves out of that hole?
Yes. So I think it would be fair to say, and we're not taking either side, but it would be fair to say that student gets a couple of those and they're done. Why in the world would they even want to do anything else? That's kind of like the nail in the coffin using the sledgehammer. So let's move to something different. Let's talk about assigning a 0 in what I think I remember in the old days, and that was on a 4-point scale. So an A would be a 4, a B would be a 3, C a 2, a D a 1, and an F's a 0. So to me, that if someone was going to give a 0, that seems a little more fair on that scale. Does it to you, or?
Yeah, I'm not aware of a lot of districts that are using that, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, but that does make a little sense. I still have to beg the question, Ron, about what is the goal and what are we grading? And, did we do everything we could to offer some choices to that student for them to engage? So that just always is on the back of my mind. I can't help but say it.
And I totally appreciate that, Barb, because, we're really trying to be neutral, and I like the way you keep bringing that up. So really, we've given 3 really good discussion points here. One is if it's on a 100-point scale, is there even any fairness or anything to it? However, if it is on a 4-point scale, could a student dig themselves out of that one? Mm-hmm. And what you're still saying is we still need to check into the other pieces. So, you know what? I think this has been a pretty darn good 10 minutes with Barb and Ron, and we're hitting minute 9. So,
wow,
this could be a really good, I'm thinking this video that we're doing right now that we just did could be a great conversation starter for a district when they're kicking off the discussion about zeros or even grading at all.
Right.
And yes, it could be used in a college class by a professor.
There you go. And lighten the world up with all these ideas, many applications. So I love it.
So anyway, we just keep trying to pry people's minds to be a little broader and a little, So with that said, Ron is out.
Boy, 10 minutes goes fast. And with that, Barb is out. See you next time.
YouTube, please subscribe. Like, comment, and share.